there.
All right, over here in the upper left, we have our Zerg player, and he is
Wongjin Star Soki from Korea.
And over here in the bottom left, we have our Protoss player, the only one left in the Final Four. He is
Wongjin Stars SOS from Korea.
Okay.
all right.
Time to see what these guys want to do, Tasteless. I do want to point out real quick that SOS is actually going for a Forge expand, and this guy basically always goes Gateway expand. So already mixing it up a little bit against his teammate that knows him so well.
And, you know, that's an important thing to note. They're teammates, so there's going to be mind games we won't even be able to fully see because we don't get to watch these guys practice all day.
Yeah, and in fact, the mind games can get to be so much that the games can sometimes not even look that good. For instance, if there's a series you guys totally don't want to watch but want to hear me talk about for 1 second, it's our round of 4 match from GSL between these two. Because it was not the level that you would normally expect them at, being teammates, playing against each other. Things were going on that, you know, we can't possibly understand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, so I know we got a lot of new viewers here, and I want to make this broadcast as accessible as possible. So let's talk about this map for a second. The map is Whirlwind. Whirlwind is the biggest map in StarCraft 2. This map is huge. So big maps like this generally tend to favor the Zerg because the Zerg always has to be up in an expansion. And having a greater distance to travel to try to deny the Zerg that expansion gives Zerg an advantage. Now, luckily for our Protoss player here, they're both sharing the left side of the map. SOS would be at a considerably bigger disadvantage had he spawned in the bottom right, for instance.
Yeah. And, you know, because it is such a big map, as you said, Tasteless, and it is a 4-player map, Sulky has actually gone hatch first. So he's opened up with a really nice build order against what SOS has done because SOS has done nothing that can possibly punish that. And the quicker you get those hatcheries out, the later that you start making your actual army units, such as Zerglings, the better off your economy is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely well said. Now, the Protoss, of course, is going to finish up his wall, and he's going to get a cybernetics core, and that's really where the various builds you can do start to branch out. When the cybernetics core is done, we wait to see what does the Protoss make after that. Does he make a Stargate, which is probably the most typical thing to do? Does he make a robotics facility? Does he make Twilight Council? And then we know what he's going to do. With the Zerg, what we want to really try to follow here is, one, is he mining gas, and is he going to continue to mine gas? And then 2, how many drones is he going to make versus how many Zerglings? You know, when it comes to Zerg, they actually operate considerably differently from Terran and Protoss in the sense that everything besides the Queen comes from larva.
Yeah.
And so it's really this balancing act of, if I'm making drones, I'm not making any attacking units. If I'm making attacking units, I'm not making any drones. So it's a real tightrope walk, especially against a good player like SOS, who's incredibly sneaky and is able to make you think you're going to be attacked when you're not. So you definitely want to watch out for that.
Yeah. Well, it is a Stargate opening, as you said, Tasteless. Not too surprised there. This is the bread and butter of the matchup. Now, the real question is, will this be some sort of SkyToss build, or is it just going to be a little bit of air harassment?
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. That Overlord is just barely out of view of that Stargate warping in. He will eventually send an Overlord in there to see what's going on. It's always worth it for Zerg to sack 1 to 2 Overlords to get a little bit more intel.
Well, Phoenix is going to be chrono boosted out here. There's no +1 attack on the way, and there is a sentry being produced, so it's not like we're going to see a really hyper-aggressive Zealot Phoenix attack.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. Looks like the 3rd hatchery is almost done. Right now, the Zerg is cranking out a lot of drones here. Warp Gate is on the way, and we're going to have a Void Ray coming out of that Stargate.
All right, this is really interesting. The single Phoenix is actually some misinformation. It's going to fly around, kill Overlord, stop the scouting of Sulky. But with the Void Ray on the way, it looks like SOS might go for SkyToss here.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case. And if he's going to be going for SkyToss, I'm really interested in seeing when is he going to get that air attack upgrade. Is he going to get that right after Warp Gate? And if so, is he going to be able to hide the fact that he's getting that upgrade? Because, I mean, once you get Warp Gate, it's rare to upgrade out of the Cybernetics core, and if you do see it, it is going to be SkyToss. And if a Zerg knows that SkyToss is coming, he has some time to prepare. That makes a big difference, because one of the advantages of SkyToss is if you can catch them off guard.
Well, the Phoenix is going to continue to scout, and it looks like right now SOS getting ready to take that third base. The Zerglings snipe the probe. Very good move there. Definitely worth a few Zerglings to slow down the third base from warping in.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a fairly typical Protoss opener that we're seeing because of the Mothership Core's presence. This is one of the things that's changed from Wings of Liberty to Heart of the Swarm, is that a Mothership Core can actually drive out Zerglings. So, you know, unless the Zerg makes, 20, 25 Zerglings and comes down and tries to take out that expansion, there's really not a lot that the Zerg can do about it. And even then, if you make that many Zerglings, again, it's that balancing act between drones and attacking units. So you got to be very careful.
Well, we got a couple Stargates coming up, Tasteless. A lot of Lings coming down towards his third base, though, and he's going to want to save this. If he loses this base, that's going to be very painful.
Now, if you guys know, the pylon and the cannon, they're actually warping in exactly touching the Nexus. These are these little subtle things that give those Lings not a lot of surface area. Of course, he has that sentry with force fields as well. And SOS's defense is airtight. He is going to go untouched so far.
Certainly, but we do have that Infestor tech on the way, Tasteless. Pathogen glands coming up, so his Infestors can get off more fungal growths. And that does very well against SkyToss. He's also getting the Spire, and I wonder, is this going to be for Mutalisks, or is this going to be for Corruptors?
Yeah, I'm really curious myself. All right, so he's going to get getting mass Void Rays. This is actually something I messed around with a lot early on in Heart of the Swarm. And
I really like it on this map.
Yeah, it's really good because I feel like any kind of conventional Protoss play on this map doesn't really allow you to get an edge. You know, that ground army just can't quite get there quick enough. And another sign of SkyToss, by the way, upgrading shields.
Yeah, very true. He's going to have so many Void Rays popping out very soon, but 5 Infestors are on the way, so if he gets caught in a clump with those Void Rays, things can go very poorly. Now, will we be seeing Mutalisks or Corruptors? That is the big question here, and either one can work in conjunction with those fungal growths.
Now, what the Zerg's doing is so smart. He sees, okay, SkyToss, you're making a bunch of Void Rays. Well, those things aren't fast. That means I'm going to punish you by double expanding over there to the upper right. Let's say those Void Rays go out and try to attack those expansions at the upper right. Bam, counterattack, Protoss in a lot of trouble. So the Protoss has to be very careful. When you do builds like this, it's kind of hard to explain. It's like you end up behind for a period of time, but if you get enough Void Rays, you suddenly have such a powerful army. If the Zerg didn't do everything perfectly back at home, you could simply put loose.
Very well put, Tasteless. It definitely takes a while for this army to really kick in, but he just finished up his Templar Archive, so he's going to have Psystorm pretty soon here, as well as feedbacks. He's getting charge, a lot more gateways as well, and starting to upgrade his Zealots. So it's going to be a very strong army, and an army that we actually see from SOS quite often.
Now he's bringing the Mothership Core with this. That's going to be great if he wants to recall back home. Charging that up and picking up the Infestor with a Phoenix. That layer getting very low. It looks like it's going to go down.
Oh, some great lifts by this Phoenix. He prevented 2 fungal growths that could have hit him. And in fact, he might get the spawning pool as well. And don't forget, he can just warp right out of here. That was a beautiful move by SOS.
Absolutely beautiful. That's going to stifle the upgrades for the Zerg too. So this is really bad news right now for our Zerg player, losing that main hatchery. Those Infestors, I gotta say, not in the best position when that attack happened. When you look at that, obviously the Void Rays have to go to the closest location possible. To do the damage they need to do, and
I'm surprised he didn't have something there, like an Overlord, a Zergling, something to tell him that was going to happen. So definitely a mistake there by Sulky, but he is switching into Mutas now. We'll see if he can get something done. They definitely are quicker than Void Rays, but you have to be very careful. If you actually fight the Void Rays head up, you have to crush them.
You know, one of the problems, well, hold that thought. Okay, these links are going to be driven out. One of the problems when you go mutas, it's kind of the same problem that SOS was going to have earlier on with just Void Rays. The mutas can only be in one place at a time. So these zealots can actually come up here and start hitting these expansions. The mutas have to go back and defend. But of course, that would also possibly allow this air attack to go from somewhere else and hit again. And then he simply put recalls back.
Yeah. That is the beauty behind the strategy, Tasteless. The Mothership Core flying around with those Void Rays, they can just go anywhere for defense and escape after overcommitting what would have been in the past overcommitting to attacks.
Really nice positioning there with that Zealot army. And as I said, with the Zealots attacking the location we have right over here, he can also push forward with the SkyToss and Zealot army on the ground. And I don't know if Sulky's going to last much longer here.
Yeah, it's not looking like it. We could have some big feedbacks going off, and he does get them all. Only a single fungal going down, and now the Muta's all clumped up. Oh, a little bit sloppy there from Sulky, and another good storm from SOS with these Archons. He's definitely dead.
I think that's going to be it. GG, absolutely brilliant play.